This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, Backlash has come and gone, and we are now focused on Saturday Night Main Event as the next kind of PLE, and then from there it's on to Money in the Bank, but this is going to be a show up and down from wall to wall. Backlash, as intended by the title, and overall I will say I did enjoy Backlash, despite the fact that there were not as many returns or swerves as I would have liked. And yes, we got a debut, one that no one saw coming, and one that made me and a lot of people, be honest, go, who's this again? Who? Right? And we'll get to that debut, that new member of the Bloodline, the newest member of the Bloodline, in just a few minutes, because that Bloodline story just will not die. There have been so many iterations and twists and turns in that story. Are we all ready to say it's over yet? Are we all... Every time you think the Bloodline story is kind of fizzling out, they just find a way to revive it. And sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's okay. And this time, yeah, it's a new face. But I'm kind of ready for the Bloodline to stop being a thing. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but just generally, I don't know. I'm just... No matter seemingly what they do to it, they've kind of done everything. They've introduced new people. They've had people turn babyface and heel from it. They've had champions go 4 years plus running the company. We've had an absentee champion, Roman Reigns. We've had a babyface infiltrate a heel group with Sami Zayn. We've had a new version of the Bloodline, version 2.0, with Solo Sikoa and his Tongans, and now the new guy. We'll get to him. And so we've kind of seen it all, done it all. And I will say I'm not against watching it. I just feel like it's being oversaturated, and they are squeezing every ounce of this Bloodline faction that they can out of the story. And that's their job, I guess. But thank you everybody for joining me here. I hope you all enjoyed Backlash. I was not an active participant very much. I was exhausted yesterday, so I didn't get to watch Backlash really till this morning. And even then, I didn't watch every single thing. I did skim through some things and go through entrances and just watch the matches, which is saves you a lot of time, by the way. If you're not a big entrance person and just want to watch the meat of the whole show, you can, and it cuts the time in about half. But I think the time overall was a nice pace for the show. I mean, 3 hours, you can't beat that for a PLE. And it was very wrestling heavy, as PLEs tend to be outside WrestleMania. And there's a lot to get to. But first, I want to get to Big E's comments. Y'all know I was going to talk about this. Big E on the pre-show, talking about, quote unquote, giving grace to the older performers, the older women, female performers. And again, it came in response to Becky Lynch's comments. So Becky Lynch had said that, quote, I'll continue doing what I'm doing. I'll be great. I'll just beat all these younger people, beat newer people. It's not that hard. For some reason, it seems to be hard. It seems to be harder on the women's division. Look at all the men. Who do you got that's hot and young over there? None. You got a bunch of old lads beating each other up. Nobody's saying nothing. The man really drove her point home when she said that no one is asking for CM Punk or even Seth Rollins to step aside. And Big E, here's what Big E said about that.
You see two Irish women. I feel like so much of the narrative is this a passing of the torch moment? But it's also very interesting when I hear from Becky, and she talks a lot about age and the way we talk about age with the women and the way we talk about age with the men. And that for a lot of women who are in their late 30s, it's, oh, are you winding down? When are you ready to get out? But look, It feels like 75% of the male side is 38, 39, 40, 45.
We just celebrated
50.
Randy wanted to do another 10 years.
Exactly. So let's give the women the same honor and the same grace as well.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, Mr. Male Feminist. All right. The first couple things. All right. I mean, to hear that from Big E, I mean, it's feels like a corporate line, does it not? Okay. Two big things here. One, men and women are different. I know that comes as a shock. It probably comes as a revelation. But if you look around, you just kind of can tell inherently that men and women are not the same. They don't age the same. They don't have the same strengths and weaknesses. And if we're just talking about physically now, just physically, men are superior. They just are biologically, right? Otherwise, men competing in women's sports, it would be a travesty, and we're seeing that now, and a lot of actions taken against it, which there should be. I mean, you can't have men competing in women's sports. That's what the delineation is for, fairness, right? But that aside, okay, the fact that men and women are different, the idea though that we have to give women grace, right, and that Becky, first of all, can't speak proper English. Okay. She says, quote, "You got a bunch of old lads beating each other up. Nobody's saying nothing." That's from Becky Lynch. Expand, Becky, please. Please expand on that. It seems to be harder on the women's division. How? In what way? Because of age? Yeah, age is a big factor because women do not age the same. When you take a woman who already is physically limited compared to the men and physically limited in the ring compared to men, their muscle mass, their bone density, everything down to their cellular level degrades at a slower pace than men. That's just fact. Okay? So you don't have a lot of these women. Do you see Sable wanting to come out at 60 years old and have a match? Who do you see on the women's side that the WWE fans or the WWE are like, hey, you know what's that person doing these days? You don't see it because women are not as physically strong and capable as men, period. I mean, we just had Stone Cold come out of retirement a few years ago, 60 years old, nearly 60, and had a bust-ass match with Kevin Owens, right? We had John Cena and Randy Orton at nearly 50 years old, nearly 50, having a hell of a match last night at Backlash. So, yeah, these men are capable because their drive and their lifestyle and all that helps promote their maintaining of muscle mass and all of that. And their lung capacity, which is far superior to women's. Again, physically. All right, I'm not talking about mentally. I'm not talking about emotionally. I'm not talking about what they contribute to society as a whole or that women don't have strengths. I know a lot of you are reading into this. I'm talking about physically, purely from a professional wrestling standpoint. All right, but very clear about that. No matter what I say, I'm sure I'm already angering some of you, and that's just is what it is. If you're angry at this, then you have your own agenda. Which means you're just angry at facts. I have no issue if women want to come out of retirement. Okay, that's fine with me, but it's going to be embarrassing and it's also going to be unsafe. And yes, there's an inherent risk even for men that come out and they're older because we are all slaves to Father Time. We all will die. We all have our bodies right now as we speak breaking down. That's it, right? But men do it at a slower pace. And they're able to absorb more punishment in the ring for a longer period of time. Professional wrestling forever will be a man's sport. It just will be. You're going to have women who do a hell of a job, and they're always going to be a part of professional wrestling, but pro wrestling at its core will always be a man's sport. It just is going to be. It doesn't need to transition to a female sport, and it really wouldn't anyway. People don't want that. I don't think people just want a healthy mix. And you're not going to see a lot of these women at 55, 60 years old do this. It's not going to happen. So, Big E, cool it. All right? I know he's trying to play the I'm an ally of the feminist card. I can see it. Unless, I mean, he probably truly believes it too, which makes it worse. I'd love to have to ask him, like, okay, what do you mean by that exactly? Give them the same grace in what way? Because of their age? Or are we now being sexist and ageist? Is it because that when they get older, they don't look as good? So that's why we're saying they can't compete and they shouldn't come back? Is that what you're implying? Is it because as women get older, they don't look as good? Is that what you're implying? And that's what we care about the most? Is that what you're saying, Big E? Sounds like it. But also, Becky Lynch, on top of all this, has said recently that she would beat MJF in a promo. Yes, she said that. I don't know what reality Becky Lynch's Rebecca Quinn is living in. She cannot truly believe that she would, in a shoot promo, or even a work promo, because MJF would add his own flavor, actually come out on top against MJF. She's kidding, right? MJF, I think, could school John Cena, and that is saying something. Right now, MJF is the best promo I've ever seen in my lifetime. By a mile. Becky Lynch can't even form a sentence. And she thinks that she could defeat MJF in a promo. Is this just trying to get attention? Is this her just trying to scream for attention? Is that what this is? It's a cry for attention? Becky Lynch saying that she could defeat MJF. MJF, in his sleep, you know how some people sleep talk? In his sleep talk, could torch Becky Lynch. Much less a fully conscious, 100% rested MJF. She can't truly believe this. She can't believe it herself. So I don't know if she's trying to fool. Becky Lynch just is 0 for 2 here. And then you got Big E 0 for 1. All right, well, if I've still got you with me and you're currently in the middle of writing a review that I don't know, some kind of hateful, sexist, whatever, continue. I don't want to interrupt, so continue with that review, which, by the way, those reviews help me, so go ahead and post it all you want. But let's get to Backlash, all right, because that's where you're here. Let's talk about John Cena. Let's talk about Randy Orton. I'm going to go right to it because this match was awesome. I know a lot of people, including myself, looked at this as a match that ended our childhood, at least our ruthless aggression childhood era. It was a way to close that chapter forever. It is the last time, unless something changes, but I doubt it, that Randy Orton and John Cena are ever going to have a match together. So that's kind of sad that we see that. Also, kind of appreciative as well. It was an appreciative, sad moment. I don't care that John Cena's heel. Doesn't matter to me. That meant nothing. It clearly meant nothing to the fans afterwards, too, who were still chanting for Cena and thank you and all that, who were cheering for him after the show and off the air. And I want to talk about that moment, too, because I still think it's a work. Meaning, John Cena is appreciative of that moment. I'm sure he felt that moment in real life of the fans saying thank you, and he had this look on his face of just sadness as the reality of his career coming to a close is starting to really catch up to him. That's what I read in that moment. If you watch the after show footage where he's holding his belt and the fans are chanting and he just kind of walks up the ramp. And then after the show, he ends up saying that, to the reporters kind of in a very monotone voice that you guys, you deserve a little better. You earned your chance to be here. Somebody takes a question or gives a question to Cena, and then R-Truth interrupts, and we know what happens there. Cena gives R-Truth an AA through the table during the post press conference. So I still think John Cena's heel. I know a lot of people are looking to this as a babyface turn. I think it's a red herring. It's him trying to loop us in just to drop us again. I think he's trying to double down on it. We saw this a couple of times throughout history in WWE, big turns, including Stone Cold's. If you remember, again, a failed turn. Austin ended up turning heel at WrestleMania 17, No one wanted to see it. And then he comes out the next night on Raw and looks like he's going to whip Vince McMahon's ass. He doesn't. He turns again on the crowd. And then, actually, a third time, he ends up, as the whole Alliance versus WWF at the time was going on, Vince said he needs the old Stone Cold. Austin eventually gives him that old Stone Cold, but turns again on the WWF, joins the Alliance as the leader of the Alliance to try to triple down on his heel turn, which still didn't work. So I think we might be getting that from Cena. It might be a trap that we're all supposed to fall into, where the footage is shown and WWE wants us to see it, and Cena seems kind of humbled and realizes the error of his ways, only to drop us again. Now, John Cena's final match, I believe, has been announced, or at least his final date. It's going to be in December at the TD Garden in Boston for his final appearance / probably final match. So we do know when, at least the location. So there is that. But just be careful of that moment. A lot of people are looking to that as a babyface turn, but I don't think that's coming yet. I think he's going to really try to give it a second chance here. And I have to say, John Cena's heel turn has been very strange. It doesn't feel right still. And maybe that's because you have 25 years of somebody being a certain way, and then when they turn suddenly, it feels a little bit like, really? A quarter century, apparently you faked it, But I don't think that this was still the wrong choice. I do believe that John Cena turning heel, I would have, if given the opportunity, I'd still do it all over again. Because I'd rather get to the end of John Cena's career and go, well, that didn't work the way we quite hoped it would. The success wasn't as high as we hoped it was going to be. The numbers and all that and the reception. But you know what? We had the balls to do it. To me, that is more important, that you actually went through it. Even if it didn't work out the way you hoped, so what? I'd rather know that than go back and go, oh man, but what would that have looked like? So, but the match was really good. I enjoyed their pacing as we expected. The pacing of the match was awesome. Yes, the kickouts of finishes, the AA is about as effective as a clothesline at this point. We've known that for 25 years as well. No Travis Scott. We had the obligatory ref bump. The ref took a hell of a belt shot off his face, by the way. Woof. And then all management comes out. Nick Aldis comes out, and all of the agents come out to try to look at and help the referee. Which, by the way, why wouldn't he have just sent another referee out? If this match is so important, how can you not have somebody officiating it? What are you doing out there? Just send the medical team out. What are you going to do? They're the trained medical professionals. You know what I mean? So logically, it didn't make sense for any of them to be out there other than bring out the EMTs if you think there's something going on. And immediately have a referee at hand. I mean, this is something, and I know it's pro wrestling, and I'm not actually hammering WWE because it's pro wrestling, and this is just one of those holes we have to accept in our brains, is with how many refs take bumps, especially during main events, that's been going on for 50 years. How does WWE not have a backup ref at the ready to go so there's no gap in the officiating of a match? You know what I mean? It takes forever for someone to come to, or for someone to come from the back, and there's this several minute gap. How is that even possible after it happening nearly every single time? Especially in the modern age, it's much more common. But Nick Aldis getting the RKO and 6 other people getting the RKO is funny. You would think that this is the third time now that Nick Aldis has gotten the RKO. It's going to lead to something. It has to. And I would think it's got to be Nick Aldis, not just finding him. Maybe he comes out on SmackDown. Maybe he does say Randy Orton's suspended. But maybe Randy Orton shows up anyway, RKOs him a 4th time, and that's what snaps Nick. But he could also come out and say, you know what, I was going to fine him. I was going to suspend him. But I think I want to punish him in a different way. And he shows his ring gear, right? I think Nick Aldis taking on Randy Orton would be fun. Why not? Be a fun little kind of side show there. I'd have no issue with it. Nick Aldis, I've been waiting to see what he's got left too. So that'll be a fun response to a third RKO on Nick Aldis. But the match ends with a belt shot, and John Cena retains, as he should have. I know we're in St. Louis. It's Randy Orton's hometown. I get it. But did anyone truly believe that Randy Orton had a chance? Especially the way that the build led up to it. And Randy Orton RKO John Cena like 3 times on the way to their match at Backlash. If that wasn't a telltale sign that he was going to lose at the PLE, I don't know what was. All right. So, what other matches took place beyond the main event? I mean, I spent 20 minutes here talking about Big E and Becky Lynch and now the main event. Let's go to the actual Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship. I know in my previous show I said it was 1-on-1, but that was because the preview I was reading was wrong and I thought they changed something. But no, it's Fatal 4-Way. Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, and LA Knight for the United States Championship. Crowd was really in Fatu's corner here. I mean, they still see a star. We all do. He's got a very much Umaga look. Umaga had a great face for the business, a great marketable face for the business. He was believable. He looked genuinely mean. He's got that trait going for him. Fatu is, to me, reminiscent of Umaga in a lot of ways. And so this match, let me just give you the time here. Do I have the time? Yeah. 18 minutes, just under a shade under 18 minutes, where we had Jacob Fatu retaining the United States Championship. I think a lot of people anticipated this, but boy, the match was just really good. Now, up until the debut of Jeff Cobb, we did have a bust-ass match, as expected. The Claymores, the kickouts, yes, the kickouts of a zillion finishers, and that needs to just stop. Someone in WWE needs to get in the ear of Triple H, and can we just make it a policy? Can we have just like maybe a running lottery where like per month, there's maybe 3 kickouts of finishes, not including house shows. I'll let house shows do what they want. But include any televised event, there are only 3 times in total for every match televised that you can have a kick out of a finish. So we start to re-educate the audience that kickouts of finishes are exciting, they're unexpected, they're a big moment. Even the announcers don't even get excited anymore, or at least they can't even pretend to get excited about kickouts of finishes. You can hear in their voice that they anticipated. Michael Cole is like, I had a Claymore from McIntyre, and he's 1, 2, and and Fatu kicks out. Like, he's not even excited when there's a finish because he knows that he's seen it a gajillion times. So he's not even going to try to sell it because he doesn't even believe it in the pretend world. That's how beaten down we are that we can't even play pretend that it's exciting anymore. So I think it would be a really big deal for the business. Just WWE. If they just implement a policy where, guys, can we just reduce our kickouts of finishes? Stop using it as a crutch. I know it's cool when kickouts of finishes happen, but it needs to happen less, not more, for a whole host of reasons that I won't dive into, that I've gone into before. But the match was good. Now, here's the finish. We had Priest run Fatu into the ring post, slam his head on the broadcast table. Knight put Fatu on top of the broadcast table, went to the second rope, and played to the crowd, and then Solo comes out, pulled Fatu off the broadcast table. Knight goes after Solo, but he was punched by a man on the other side of the barricade. Jeff Cobb, who's wearing a black shirt and black pants, was mentioned by Cole as the man who hit LA Knight, and Fatu recovered, seemingly surprised by Cobb's involvement as he looked at him. And Solo mentioned for Fatu to return to the ring and have his way with Knight, and Fatu did that and hit his moonsault finish for the victory. So instead of a Solo Sikoa turn that I predicted, and I think some of us did, a lot of you did too, we get not only Solo not turning, but another member added. Now, the member being added could be an ultimate setup for Solo to turn on Fatu, because he has somebody to watch his back in Jeff Cobb. So when, Fatu tries to get his hands on Solo, Jeff Cobb could be the one to interfere, and then you got a Jeff Cobb versus, Fatu matchup. And so there could be just setting the groundwork for that now instead of just Solo turning. And I'm fine with that too. I don't need it now. I just was wrong. So again, when I heard Jeff Cobb, I'm thinking, I looked at the screen. I'm like, who? I said, who's this dude? And I know a lot of you are probably like, how did you not know? That's because, hey, I don't have the time. I just simply don't have the time to watch, things that aren't on the main roster of WWE. I just don't. I don't. So that's the simple answer. I got too much going on for me to do that. So for somebody who's not locked in to the outside forces that are not WWE, the main roster, I'm just everyone's reacting in the arena, which made me feel stupid. But also, I'm thinking to myself, how's anyone at home sitting there going, oh, I know who that is. I don't know who the F this dude is. So anyway, that aside, Jeff Cobb, good look, big guy. And it'll be fun to see how he fits into the storyline here. So then we have Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I really enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun. This may have been one of the longest singles women's matches that I've seen in a long time. Nearly 19 minutes, 18 minutes and 45 seconds for this matchup, and it deserved every minute of it. This was a really good match. Becky has, what kind of wrestler she is. She's very good. We know what she is. We know her legacy. She's a walk-in Hall of Famer. We know that. But for Lyra, who's been on a roll, I think it was very important for her, as this is clearly the most important match of her entire career, to continue that momentum and build on her promo that she had last week that actually made her have a personality. It appeared she had one, and she built on it brilliantly this time last night with a quality match with Becky Lynch. And here's the finish. If you didn't catch it, Lynch attacked Valkyria. Lynch runs into Valkyria, who was the turnbuckle was exposed. The referee got in the way and then went to ringside and grabbed the turnbuckle pad. Meanwhile, Lyra hit Lynch with her Nightwing finish, but the referee was focused on the turnbuckle pad and was too late to get the 3, got a 2 count, and Lynch then stuffed the Nightwing attempt and thumbed the eye of Valkyria, who was able to catch Lynch in a pin for a 3 count while also selling her eye. And then Lynch immediately attacks Lyra and put her in the disarmer. Adam Pearce, referees, producers ran out, and eventually she released the hold, and Cole said Valkyria retained her title, then questioned at what cost, and Lynch headed to the back, and Cole said Valkyria may have broken her nose, but said she had arrived, and that's exactly right. I think that's a great way for Cole to put it. Lyra has arrived. At first, she came in as a kind of shy, meek, not so confident, and again, if you didn't watch NXT, kind of a generic NXT, call up. You didn't know too much. You weren't that interested, and now she has, by far, over the last week, again, just the last week, I think she has risen higher than anybody at the beginning of the week. So she has had the highest upward momentum out of anybody in the last 7 days, I think. So good for her. I think that there's more to be had here. She'll have her down times, she'll have her up times, and right now we're in one of those ascents, and we'll see how far it can take her and how she follows up here. But I like many, thought Becky Lynch was going to win, because if she lost, it's like, well, she just turned heel. Where's her to go? And really where her is for her to go is simply darker. That's where she goes. She starts to spiral. That's what she does. It was so obvious to me afterwards, where she just continues to complain and blame her and blame the fans and whoever else. Anyone gets blamed other than herself. And she's going to spiral. And that's fine with me. All right. So then we have Penta versus Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship. 9 minutes and 20 seconds. So this one was short. This was half the time that Lyra and Becky were. How about that? But Dominic gets some pretty good crowd support here. Now, the finish was Carlito walking out, distracting the ref, and Finn and JD hopped the barricade. McDonough held Penta, but Balor took his sweet time until the referee turned around and spotted them, and Penta dove over the ref, hit a flip dive on Carlito and McDonough, and Balor climbed on the apron, argued with the ref while Penta was on the ropes. El Grande Americano showed up, headbutted Penta while the ref was distracted, and Dom went up top and hit the frog splash on Penta before pinning him, and Dom defeats Penta in 9 minutes and 20 seconds to retain the Intercontinental Championship. This was good. It didn't blow me away. We still, again, just like I potentially thought a solo Sikoa turn could happen on Fatu, thought that Finn could turn on Dom here, and that didn't happen. We did not get a Dom-Finn explosion yet. They are on the slow burn pace. I think sometimes I fall back on the Vince McMahon era of rushing through things and not building slowly and just pull the trigger while we can type of mentality. And Triple H has shown quite the opposite over the last 2 years. So this is fine with me. They're building to something. And as I mentioned at on my Backlash review show, that Backlash is very often a just kind of a leftovers from WrestleMania. Not really a ton of title changes happen here. In fact, it's the least, probably the least likely PLE for any title to change hands is Backlash, and that certainly held true last night. Alrighty, so then we got a video package for Gunther and McAfee. In this match with Gunther and McAfee, that's 14 minutes. If you told me this match was going to go 14 minutes, I would have had a really hard time believing you. But it did because of the pace. And, McAfee showed his toughness. He had some hope spots. He showed he can go. He can brawl. He can even wrestle a little bit. And I also like Cole getting involved. That to me was... this is a weird thing for me to say, but it's almost as if for Michael Cole, that was the moment that showed the fans have completely turned or fallen, I don't want to say in love, but they've, I guess, finally showed their appreciation to Cole. And I know it's in a wrestling story capacity, but the fans have rarely had a chance to cheer Cole in a storyline scenario. He's, throughout the years, been really shown as a heel. Remember the coal mine? And the fans despise, or really, they were sour on Cole because he didn't sound like Jim Ross. And whoever was going to follow Jim Ross immediately was in the hole, because you're following the greatest announcer of all time. And I still believe he is. Jim Ross is still the greatest announcer of all time. He's lost a couple of steps at his age now in AEW. He's got a ton of health issues, and he certainly doesn't have a whole lot of years left on this planet. He doesn't. It's just a sad reality. But in his heyday, nobody could touch Jim Ross. Nobody. And so he followed Jim Ross. And there was a lot of resentment for Cole, who had nothing to do with it, just doing his job. And it took a long time for fans to warm up to Cole. But I think last night, it's one of those moments that shows... Now, it didn't happen in that moment. I think fans have felt this way for a while, but they got the chance, that there was an opportunity presented for them to show Cole that they actually support him, really appreciate all that he's done for the company and continues to do for the company by cheering him in that scenario. Trying to help McAfee by holding Gunther's leg. It was really good. Now, Gunther beating McAfee was absolutely expected. It should have happened. There's no Goldberg here. No Goldberg. I repeat. So I went 0 for 3 on my predictions on that as far as potential returns or turns. But the person who won here was Gunther, and I don't think that was ever really in doubt. So the finish was Pat McAfee rolling up Gunther for a 2 count, which again, that should never happen, but it did. And then Gunther tried to suplex on McAfee from the apron, but Cole tripped Gunther, causing McAfee to land on top of him for a 2 count. Gunther put McAfee in a sleeper. McIntyre fired up at one point, but he faded, and the ref called for the bell. And then that's when Cole came in to check on McAfee, and Gunther looked down, and McAfee got to his feet. And Gunther gave him a bit of a hat tip style acknowledgement before leaving the ring, and Cole hugged McAfee and then left him to have a moment in the ring. So the live crowd loved this. I mean, it's because you know that the bar is set super low here, because you're not expecting a Ricky Steamboat matchup here, a Ricky Steamboat Ric Flair match. You know, you're not going to get Bret Hart Austin at WrestleMania 13. You just kind of know the style of the match here. It's, somebody that's a badass, legit badass in the ring, no nonsense, isn't super fancy, against an announcer who has a limited moveset to begin with. You know the kind of match you're going in, so the bar is set low already. But that's what made it fun. You don't have a lot of expectations, so anything above just basic wrestling maneuvers that you see, fans are going to pop for it, because it's like, whoa, this is an announcer. That's awesome. He can do this. It's amazing how the lens of the match before you watch it, how you view it, what your expectations are, can really, really dictate how you react to the match while you're watching it. So that the crowd loved it. And again, do I like the fact that Gunther came close to losing a few times? No. Did you know they were going to do that? Yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't be very entertaining and it would just be a total squash. But no Goldberg. And I'm okay with that. At least not yet. All right. Then we got the decibel meter graphic on the screen when Randy Orton's music played, and it maxed out around 115, which, again, I have a real problem believing that that thing's real. Nonetheless. So the crowd's singing his song, and hey, it was still a good matchup. Again, I already talked about it at length here. To say I enjoyed it would be pretty accurate. It was a nostalgic feel to the match. And it went, by the way, 28 minutes. 28 minutes. And that's not including entrances. So this match was over 30 minutes, including entrances. And it was fun. It was fun. The ref bumps continue to happen. As I said, they're an obligatory part of every main event for the Undisputed Championship since its inception. I mean, it's getting insane now. But ultimately, the only thing we got, guys, we didn't get Travis Scott. We didn't get a faux Rock appearance. We didn't get Goldberg. We didn't get a Solo Sikoa turn. We didn't get, what was the other turn? I can't remember. But we didn't get any of that. We didn't get any of that. We got a Jeff Cobb debut. That's what we got. We got a Jeff Cobb debut. But now we got Saturday Night Main Event, which I fully expect to be pretty much on par with this match or this show here. Wrestling heavy, not a lot of returns, not a lot of star power, very much a house show on steroids, no pun intended. That's what Saturday Night Main Event is going to be and has been historically. And that's okay. You know what? Here's the thing. Sometimes a wrestling show can just be a wrestling show. Meaning it's just two guys, two girls, or multiple guys and multiple girls in the ring competing with each other, trying to win the match. That's okay. That can be the case. There doesn't always need to be interference or shenanigans. We've educated ourselves as fans, partly due to our own fault and partly due to the promotion's fault, of always having, especially big matches, having to have some kind of wonky Bloodline WrestleMania 40-esque finish with 3 or 4 different people interfering. And that just, we shouldn't have that expectation. Triple H has gone back to a much more straightforward, slow burn process. And at least for me, I know I'm trying to acclimate to that. Sometimes I'm stuck in the Vince McMahon era of booking in my mind. Of, I can see this coming. I bet you're going to do it here. Oh, I can see Solo turning. I bet you're going to do that here. And they don't, and they don't, and they wait. Right? and the Finn Balor, that's the other thing. Finn Balor turning on Dom, you're like, oh, I can see that coming. And while it is going to happen, you just don't know when. So a lot of times WWE is struggling with not trying to fool the fans with what's going to happen, but when. Now, if you can do the what's going to happen, that's a better surprise than the when, because at least with the what, you never saw that coming, versus the when, you're like, well, yeah, I didn't know when they were going to do it, but I knew they were going to at some point. So the second one is more common because it's, one that it's harder to fool fans nowadays with all the leaks and people just out, going through every possible scenario, and one of them is going to be it. So I think sometimes, though, looking at wrestling shows, we can just have a wrestling show. We can just look at it and go, you know what? No outside interference, no shenanigans. What's going to happen if these two are the only ones who have a say in the match? No ref bump, no foreign objects, just these two individuals, or however many individuals in that match. What's going to happen? So I'm not against distractions and debauchery. I mean, let's be honest. I love chaos just as much as the next person, but I think we often expect it too much. And I'm trying to recalibrate my expectations as to what Triple H's and TKO's vision of professional wrestling is. It's not the wrestling of yesteryear. It's evolving, and in some ways I love it, in other ways I hate it. In the ways I love it, I love slow burns. I'm all about story arcs. I love when they reward fans for remembering things. I love when they can talk about wrestling using the word wrestling. Right? I love the fact that they've gone a little more edgy. I hate the ads in the ring on Raw or anywhere. I hate the fact that they have pulled back the curtain every chance they get, reminding you that the magic you're watching isn't real. Every chance you get, all the time. I despise that. I always will. That's not going to change. So there are some things I really don't like and things I love. But the fact is that TKO and WWE themselves and management and Triple H and company and his team, creative, have their own vision. And it's not a McMahon-run company anymore. And we have to remember that it's not Vince McMahon at the top of the pile. There's not a Shane McMahon. There's not a Stephanie McMahon, although she may have a say indirectly with her husband because they're married, obviously. But I think as fans, we should really try to remember that. So, in other news, Sabu dies. So he died at 60 years old. We don't, at least as of this writing or this recording, I don't know the cause. Right now, there's little known cause about what happened. I mean, you can deduce things that are common. Perhaps, heart failure. A lot of us just jump to heart failure from steroid use, right? I mean, because it was kind of prevalent, but we don't know. I don't know. Maybe after you hear this, everyone will know what the cause of Sabu's death is. Right now, I don't know. There are updates, though, to injuries from two top stars being banged up after Backlash. And this is coming from Wrestling Inc. So the show opened with a fatal four-way, as we talked about, where Fatu retained his championship. And there were some bumps and bruises, as you'd imagine. I'm paraphrasing the article here. And this is, according to Triple H, quote, Jacob, Damian, Drew, and LA Knight was incredible. What a performance. I hate that word. Again, it's like I'm watching a magic show. I despise it. Luckily, everybody's healthy. I think Priest got a tooth that he's hoping will stay inside of his head for a couple of days here and get solid again. But other than that, Drew is a little banged up, but totally fine. So really happy that turned out the way it did. So, okay. Damian gets a loose tooth that nearly got knocked out, but they're hoping will strengthen back. I mean, that would freak me out. That'd freak me out. I don't know about you, but sometimes I have dreams about my teeth falling out. Oof. Anyway, Fatu, let's see, and his three challengers weren't the only men involved, and blah, blah. Okay. So it's basically the Fatal 4-Way that was really good. And I had a feeling that one could steal the show, and you can make a case that it did. But McIntyre's banged up. We don't know what banged up means. Probably just bruised and sore and the usual bumps that he's accustomed to, but nothing that's going to allow him to, or would force him to take time off. So I don't know if there's any other news coming out of there. I think as far as injuries go, that might be the last of the injuries. And yeah, so that will do it for my Backlash review. I think that this was a show, again, that was a good wrestling show. Not a lot of surprises or returns. And that has been the theme for Triple H's run thus far. I mean, look no further than the main event of WrestleMania. I'm going to keep bringing it up. You didn't have somebody that was an integral part of the storyline there because you wanted the attention on someone else. At least that's the public reason. So we'll continue to hammer that because it's just totally inexcusable. So, all right. Next, actually, a question for you guys. When or where do you think The Rock will actually come back? I mean, he's going to come back at some point. SummerSlam? Maybe next year's WrestleMania? Who knows? For me, I think it might be Money in the Bank, make an appearance, or his music. As I had mentioned last time for John Cena, I predicted that the music would hit. Travis Scott's there. They're trying to recreate WrestleMania. The crowd's just so pissed off, so angry. But Travis Scott eats an RKO. John Cena hits the belt shot, 1, 2, 3. I would have literally recreated, except just add the Rock's entrance music to the WrestleMania Night 2 finish for the Backlash finish. That's exactly what I would have done to send the crowd into nuclear mode. You could still do that at the Money in the Bank, Money in the Bank. You could do it. Saturday Night Main Event, you could also do it, but I would save that for a Money in the Bank and or SummerSlam finish for John Cena. But we got a lot of time until that happens. Of course, the Saturday Night Main Event, though, is only, 2 weeks? Yeah, we got 2 weeks, so that's going to come pretty quickly. The big gap is going to be between the Money in the Bank event and the Saturday Night Main Event. So I think we have a pretty decent gap as far as WWE PLEs. Let me look at the gap here. We had Elimination Chamber. We've got Backlash. So Saturday Night Main Event is May 24th. Then we have the Money in the Bank event. Oh, it's June 7th. I thought it was July 7th. Oh, my God. I take that back. I thought some reason it was July 7th. It's June 7th for Money in the Bank. Okay, so we've got 2 weeks and then 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, we're going to get a PLE type of show. Wow. All right, so they don't have time to really build much of anything. However, there is then a Evolution event on WWE Evolution. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad they brought that back. On July 5th in Mohegan Sun, they've got the Saturday Night Main Event on July 12th. And then SummerSlam, August 3rd. Okay. Oh, Night of Champions. I'm sorry. Night of Champions. So between Money in the Bank and Night of Champions, there's 3 weeks. And then between Night of Champions and I'm not even going to count Saturday Night Main Event. And then between, let's see, the Night of Champions and SummerSlam, it's 3 weeks. I think it is 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Let me look. They don't have the damn date. I don't see it. So anyway, it's every couple of weeks from now until the end of June that we have a PLE. So they're going to come rapid fire now. They're going to come hot and heavy. All right, well, that'll do it for me. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I appreciate all of your support throughout the years, or if you've just started listening, I appreciate you giving me a listen, giving me a try. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast. That's patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can also go to Apple and subscribe there. And we also have a Discord chat over at Patreon, so check that out. And what else? We have we do have a website, but no one really goes to it anymore because websites aren't the place to go to listen to podcasts. So you could check out www.podcast.com, but that actually may be going away because, to be honest with you, everything is just video on YouTube or on Spotify or on on X even. So I think that may be going away soon on www.podcast.com. It's expensive to maintain, and I probably will shut it down, as the vast majority listen to us on Apple or Spotify or Spreaker or YouTube. So that'll do it, everybody. I appreciate you listening. Again, happy Mother's Day to all of those out there that celebrate our moms, and hope you had a good day. That'll do it. I'll be back on Tuesday for our Raw review. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.